can't see it. Okay, let's get the decibels down here. Okay. No, that's a little high. Okay. So I'm just doing a little tech test for the online group. Can Juanita, hi Juanita, can you hear me? Can you just say, identify yourself on your microphone? Let's see, I'm doing a little tech test.
Yes, I can hear you.
Great. Okay, so that's looking good. Oh, just lost something here. Okay, and Charan, is it Charan? Hi. Can you? Okay, Christina. Hi, Christina.
Hi.
Good morning. Excellent. Okay, so things are working there. We're just doing a little bit of a technical troubleshoot here with the tech team. So we will need a few minutes before we get blasted off. And let's see. Okay, good. So what's happening there? We have a connection there. Where are my notes? Okay, that's good. We have audio. We have video. Good. This is loading up here. That's nice. So just waiting for that. Oh, okay. What should I do there? So we're Hi, Nick. How are you?
Hi, good morning.
Great. Sure. Yeah, no, that's good. Okay, so let's see who's out in the cosmos. We've got planet CT, planet J, planet N, planet CK, planet M, and Paula. Hi, Paula. Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, Paula. Okay, so Elgin is here, and he's doing a little quick stick handle on the tech. And let's just make sure this is sort of in the right place so people can see me if you have to. Okay, that's not so bad. Okay, I'm just over here. Okay, so if I have to teach from here, I teach from here. See me here? Oh, Elgin's, yeah, that's good. This is the one I like on this one right in the middle. I need to see the middle camera. That's critical. And then on the left is my laptop, and then we're good. Yeah, thanks. Okay, so yeah, I think we're looking pretty good. Yeah, thanks. Okay, everybody, I just need a couple minutes to figure out what to do next, but I think we're in good shape. And I think what I'm going to do is just tighten this up a little bit today. And to do that, yeah, so I don't need to see so much of YouTube over there. What I want to see is this. Yeah. And I want to bring this back. Okay, good. Okay. That's not bad. let's see. And then if we go, if we get rid of the open chat and we do that, so maybe we just bring this out a little bit. Yeah. Just do that. Come down here a little bit. Zoom in. Okay. I think we can probably go in a little bit more now. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to set that there. Save 1. That's good. And then for preset, we go over there. That's good. Save 2. Okay, great. We have the microphones down there. And of course on YouTube, here we are live on YouTube. That's a bit of latency, but we're in good condition there. Okay, so what else do I need to get teed up? Well, oh yeah, I want to put the map out there. So let's get that going. So close that. We do that. Nice. So everything's looking pretty good right now. Oh, okay. Doesn't want to do that, does it? Okay. Hold on. Come with me. Oh, I see why. I got it. I got it. I understand why I can't do that. But now I can. So then, and let's get that full screen. So we want to tee everything up so everybody can see everything properly. Good. Okay, so that's teed up. Now, I think what we'll do is, yeah, we can play around with that. We can do that, right? And then we come back to that. So we have ISS, then we have ISS, then we have civilization. So we have planet, then civilization. Good. So we'll start with planet. Yeah, right. Okay, nice. Nice. Okay, so we are getting really close. We had a little troubleshoot there, but I'm closing the doors. And we can feel the rumble of the engine beneath our feet as we get ready to blast off. We can get good audio there. We have our microphones there. And I think I'm just going to have a little bit of water before I get going. Let's bring this, let's get this cursor a little bit bigger so I can see what I'm doing. So many moving pieces. That's complexity, entanglement, if you will. Okay, and then we want to bring the chat back. Oh, great. Ajoy's here. Hi, Ajoy. Excellent. Ajoy's here from Dhaka in Bangladesh. Always a welcome addition to our class. And he joins just for the pure love of education and communication. Good. So I think we're just there. We've got our Global Guardian. Yeah, I can bring that in when I need. And I'll make a little note for myself to save the live chat. Otherwise, I will forget. So many things. Okay. So this is all set. And let me get my little lesson plan out here so I know what's happening. Yeah, great. I'll just do one final little check here and see if there's anything going on in any other part of the spacecraft right now. A little bit of Star Trek. Captain's got to check and see what's happening on all the different parts of the ship. Star Trek. Captain Kirk here. How many of you are sort of Star Trek fans? The movie, I guess, television show. Well, it's a classic television show, isn't it? Yeah. Well, grab a microphone. We'll get going, okay? Yeah, no, not, you don't want anyone to hear you yet? Okay, all right. So somebody is speaking and I'll translate sort of for those online who can't hear him. Go ahead. Oh, you okay? Yeah, exactly. That's what, so we always need to grab, and then just turn it on. That way everybody can hear you, and karaoke. Like, yeah, good man. Go ahead.
Wasn't really an important point, but I was just saying I'm not a fan of the show, but I'm a fan of a show that the little boy was a big fan of, Star Trek. So I know a little bit about it.
And do you know where Captain Kirk, the actor William Shatner, is originally from? Do you know?
No.
Montreal. Canadian. Yes. A Canadian. Lots of Canadians in Hollywood and elsewhere in the world doing really well and leading, not following. Well, we can be leaders in Canada. We're a small country of only 31, 32 million, but we punch above our weight. So that's partly my way of introducing global leader to everybody back for our third class of the semester. And I just still want to make sure our tech is in place before we get going because we had a little bit of a hiccup, but I think we're in good shape. The online cosmos is connected and they can hear us and we can hear them, but we'll just do one final little check and make sure we've already done with Juanita and Christina. Nick, can you just come on and speak for a few seconds again? Just tell us where you are right now. Just a little tech test. Go ahead. Okay. I think I know why. Keep going, keep going, keep going. It's going to be.
Sorry, can you hear me?
There we go. Got it. Got it. I fixed it. There are a lot of moving pieces here to manage. And in a way, what I do at the podium is somewhat of a demonstration for all of you on how to manage complexity. Because complexity is one of the biggest forces today in our world, big force in your life. So if I can manage complexity, and complexity means just many moving pieces, if I can do it, you can do it. And so here we go. We're going to begin our Wednesday Global Leader class. And today we're going to prepare essentially for our first official guest next week, our first big guest. And there are going to be 7 or 8 guests coming over the next weeks, and we need to prepare for those as well. So generally speaking, the format we're following is that we do a prep class and then we have a guest and then another prep class, but sometimes things will have to change a little bit depending on the schedules of the guests. Sometimes we might have 2 or 3 guests in quick succession over 2 or 3 weeks. So we might have to do a prep class for 3 people instead of 1 to get you ready. But essentially today we're going to get ready for 1. And her name is Anastasia Pioro. And in a moment, I'm going to tell you all about her and about what she has done and about our kind of controversial topic to go along with Dami's request, which is a good request. And we're going to be delving right into war today. War, as a matter of fact, we're going to be delving into more than that, what you can do when there is a big problem in your community or in your life or in the world. And doing more than thinking is really important. So I'm going to give a little lecture after our review, and then we're going to have an activity to get ready for the guests next week, and I'm going to talk about Anastasia as well, show you some of the things she's been doing, and then we will conclude. And you will have a chance as well to start thinking about your first reflection, which is due next week. Okay, so everything's been posted for you. Come on in, and all of the instructions are up there for you. But I'd like to, in the review part of today, actually talk about something around the reflections, because 2 of them have already been posted, and you may have seen 2 of them. And they're really good, even though one is way over the word count. But it is so honest and so real, and so much an example of the kinds of things I hope we're going to see this semester. So there are no secrets. You know who that person is if you've already seen the discussion thread. All I'm going to do for that person, she knows who she is it possible she could come and sit on the couch with the rest of the students, or would you? Oh, you can charge it up here. Okay, you can stay there. We'll just have to bring the microphone back to you. But you know what? We'll give you your own microphone for now. And then eventually, you'll come up, okay? Because we do a lot of interacting and it gets a little trickier, but great post, okay? Yeah, that's all right. So you take that microphone, and when we're ready to talk. Speaking of review, do I see Paula Sojo? You're in the class today, right?
Yes, I am.
Great. Well, I noticed something in our lineup of classmates or crewmates. The author of that post, Maria Jose, back there, and you are both in the video production program.
Oh,
Correct?
cool.
Right? Do you know each other?
No, but
Yet?
that's because this is like my second year being in person. I mean, my first year being in person. So I
Okay.
don't know many people yet.
Well, I'm going to make a little proposal to the 2 of you later, because there might be something very practical and helpful this semester around video production with Global Leader that you
Okay,
might want to
cool.
take on for marks.
Cool.
And so I just wanted to make sure that I was right in what I read that you're both in the video production program.
Yes, that's
So
right.
that's good. Okay. Well, let me just say to all of you as well that it's really important that whatever program you're in, you're able to apply what you're learning there in this forum as well, in Global Leader, because I see that the skills that you're developing in this class are durable skills, versatile skills that can be used in all that you do. So it may be that some of you would like to think about a final project in this class. You'll have lots of options for it at the end of the semester that has something to do with your program of study as well. And then we can talk about how you might want to incorporate that into your final assignment, which is worth 30% in this course. But I have a thought for Maria and for Paula, in part because Maria has already taken a lot of initiative in this course. And I can see, has anyone had a chance to even just see what's in the discussion thread? Oh, you have to post in order to see somebody else's post? You can't just go and scroll through and, okay. Well then, I highly recommend that you sure? Can we check that for a second? Because that's a bit strange. Maybe there's something I need to learn about the tech. You tried, Leanda? Okay, well maybe it's a function of me being a professor and I can access things. So you can only see what others have posted if you go ahead and post, right? Okay, well then, if that's the case, and it probably is, Leah, because it sounds like you know what you're talking about. Let me just say that Maria made a big mistake, but it's not going to affect her mark. She put 1,200 words in there, and we only wanted 350. So that's a huge mistake, but you can't make that in assignments. But I let it pass now because of what she said. So she gets top marks. And 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 essentially what she said was, you know, I think I'm kind of awakening to this idea of leadership and that it's in me and I can feel it and it's kind of been there and I'm ready to lead more. Is that correct, Maria? Kind of? You want to turn it on? Turn it on so they can hear you? Just click it up, yeah, and you'll see the bars come, the battery bars. And
Hi.
hi, okay, so yeah, Maria, is that fair to say that it sort of touched something in you about leadership, and now you're ready to surf this wave, or ski down this slope, or get on this train?
Yeah, sorry about the words. I'm a journalist, so like I'm just used to writing a lot.
That's true. But I'm going to help all of you to understand something this semester. You're right, but you're also wrong in what you said. Real writing, Maria, is rewriting. And I will help you with that. Real, hard, great writing means you have to go through multiple drafts and you have to hone your sentences the way a hockey player sharpens his skates, or the way a tennis player might, stretch those strings on the racket until they're really tight. So every word has to matter at a certain point, and you got to cut out all the repetition and all the bad grammar, and you got to get really rigorous. But I just figured you were talking, and you know all of this, okay? But I'm gonna, if you need help, I'll help you, and I'll help all of you, because real writing is rewriting, and real writing is hard work. Does that, Maria, make sense?
Yeah, I don't need help. I can just narrow it down.
But you have what all journalists have, which is you have a great respect for writing. You want to express yourself, and you are pretty fearless and ready to lead. And I think that is fabulous. So way to go. Okay.
Thank you.
Good. As for there was another student who posted something, and she is not with us in person, I don't believe, and she's not with us synchronously online. She's watching the recordings. And she said that she liked the recording. She liked the class. So be aware that what we record here for everybody is being watched by probably about 30 other students, because there are 42 students registered in this class. And what that student said in her discussion post should inspire you a little bit. The interaction that takes place here, what we do together, is being watched as a recording by 30 other students, and they're learning from that. So you're helping to teach them too. Does that make sense? She said, for example, this student, I think she said, Leanda was really, it was great to hear Leanda up here talking and, presenting something. And that's the kind of thing that I'm hoping we can keep doing all semester, is connecting in our recordings with all those students who are watching the recordings on their own time. And some of you may be doing that as well. You'll come in person and you'll watch a recording another time. The idea is that the class is always alive in whatever form you want it. Okay? So there are other things I can review, but I really want to jump into things today and sort of start to get ready. And so first, let me just make sure everyone feels clear and they know what's going on. Do you have any questions? Anything you want to say, bring up at this point before we start to talk about our guest, what's going to happen next week in the class? And I'd also like to talk about some of the other guests that we've got lined up. And maybe there might be a guest or two that you invite on your own that could be even an assignment, that the letter you write to the guest to invite that guest could be your first assignment. So there might be a great guest you want to invite, and we might get that guest. We've had some great guests. Okay. Everybody good? Let's see what's happening here. I just need to tee up a little something. Great. We've got our live chat going. Nothing in YouTube here, and we'll just leave that going for the recordings. And so I'm going to put our map, well, actually first, before I get the map going. Where are we right now in terms of the International Space Station's position? Something like 400 kilometers right directly above us. There is a big space station orbiting the planet right now. It takes 90 minutes, 93 minutes to go around the planet, about the length of a class. And right now we see on the dashboard behind me, as always, a live view from the International Space Station going over the planet. And we're in the sunrise part of its orbit, so we have light. Where are we right now as we go around the planet? Anyone want to tell us, give us a position? South Atlantic Ocean. It's big ocean, okay? So we're in the South Atlantic right now, and we'll get a better position on that when we pull up the map. But I'd like to remind all of you that something that we do in Global Leader is we learn how to think like astronauts. And probably a good example for all of you of the kind of person that I mean is somebody as obvious as Chris Hadfield. Now, just raise a hand if you know who Chris Hadfield is. Chris Hadfield, the Canadian astronaut who spent about 6 months on the International Space Station, commanding it, has done a lot of writing on the experience of being up there. What do I mean by think like an astronaut? If I say that in Global Leader, one of the important leadership skills or qualities that you will develop in this class, or at least be introduced to, is this idea of thinking like an astronaut. What do you think that means? And feel free, anybody, if you want to jump in online, on your microphone or in the live chat.
Hey, Professor.
Ajoy, excellent. Here, I'm going to bring Ajoy up. Here's Ajoy from Dhaka in Bangladesh. Go ahead.
Hey, hi, Professor. So in last class, you mentioned that the founder of Thoria, he's supposed to come as a guest in our class. So what about that?
Yes, he's going to come another time. He was unfortunately had an emergency meeting he had to go to today. So we're going to do that another time. He's among several guests we're going to invite. But he won't be with us today, but he'll be here for certain in the future. Okay, Joy? Anything else? Any other questions?
No, I'm just waiting to listen the concept note of today's class.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot. And thanks for your comments in the live chat last week in terms of the importance of, global communication and diversity. So, okay. What does it mean? Think like an astronaut. Let's think for a moment. Global leader. Well, the idea is that I want to help you, every class, kind of open up and have this planet-wide perspective. Being able to think about the whole planet and the whole globe, and not just nations, cultures, and independent entities, but something bigger. And that's what astronauts do. When they're in a space station, for example, there have only been about 250, 260 humans who've been in space and seen the planet whole. And they've all said that it changes them. There's a consciousness that happens. And it's called the overview effect. Have any of you heard of the term the overview effect? Does that sound? Okay, good. So I'm just reviewing a little bit before we start to review this sense of what kind of perspective you're getting in the Global Leader class and what kind of perspective you need today to be more of a leader in this world that is much wider and more global. You need to have this bigger way of looking at the world, not just your country, not just a continent, but the whole planet, like an astronaut. So let's start getting some notes going. And there's always going to be somebody here that I'm going to wait for to jump up and go to the smartboard, but I know that's not going to happen. Dammy is good, but I don't want to default it. Dammy, you want to be default again? Or Leander was here last week on the seat. Give her a break. Okay. And what's your name again? Jay? Jay. Jay. Okay. What's the real name? Jishan. I got to remember that because this is much more interesting than just Jay. Ja. Okay. Jishan. Jashan. Jashan. I got it. Okay. Jashan. How's your writing? Did you do any writing last week? You've been up all night, okay? Just like Carrie Ann over here who works some 11 to 7 shift. So she may nod off a little bit, but it's okay. You know, if she's working late, I understand. Just no snoring, okay? That's okay, but you can, you know, and I know your brain's here. I know part of her brain is here, and that's good. So, okay, Jashan, no, Jay, Jashan, no worries. Jishan. I live and breathe this room. Originally? Okay, good question. No, absolutely. I'm just as much a global mutt or a motley kind of, you know, collection of different cultures. First of all, I'm from Toronto. That's where I was born. Okay, I was from Toronto. And my parents were born in Toronto. Yeah, but now we get into grandparents. I join all the rest of you in terms of connection to the world. So on my mother's side, her father came from Ukraine/Russia. He comes from a part of Ukraine that was occupied by Russia. And we're going to get into Ukraine today because this is what the guest has done. She started an organization that is delivering frontline medical aid to Ukrainian soldiers. So we're going to talk a lot about Ukraine and wars. So Saul, my mother's father, I never met. He died before I was born. He's from a town, Zhytomyr in Ukraine that was occupied by Russia once upon a time, and Russia wants it back. We'll get into that. Then on my mother's side, the mother, Romania. Now, my father's side, we have Wales, and we think Poland. So then on top of that, we add a layer of Judaism, but I'm not religious, but that's what I was given. I'm a Jew, but you know, I'm as much of a Jew as you are a Christian or a Muslim, yeah, or Canadian. You know, I'm a human first. I'm a human first, and I respect all faiths, all cultures, all creeds, and all of that. Well, you can't be confused, Ja. Okay, well, let's clarify, okay, because maybe I did confuse you. I was kind of just speaking more generally, like, I don't think you're that religious. You are. Okay, then I misspoke. I misspoke. Thank you for correction. And this is can you make sure that we hear you, because your interaction with me is part of this class. It's called intercultural literacy. So the courage you have in early on in the semester talking to me as a fellow human being and not the professor up here, but somebody who is very similar to you but different, and we can talk, is something instructive for everybody. So now we're having a great moment right now. Look at this. Okay, we are right in the middle of this intercultural world, and there was a misunderstanding. And part of good leadership is you become comfortable with the uncomfortable in today's world. This is not easy. We have a little uncomfortable moment. It's not uncomfortable, but we could, okay? So what did I misspeak about? And please enlighten me and help me to understand what I should do.
Well, you should have just asked me if I was a Christian or not.
Yes,
You said that. But you said your mother, dad basically both born in Canada,
yes,
and then they had you. So you are Canadian.
I am Canadian.
So then you said you're also a little bit of Jew, but then you kind of took on the Jew as if you were kind of, you know, like 100% Jew.
Oh,
Then that was obviously a little sarcastic when you said,
yeah.
that was the only misunderstanding.
Okay. Okay, you should, because I really mean it when I say that I am a human first and my religion is not the thing that I believe defines me. My wife, for example, is from Hong Kong and she's a Christian.
Right.
I spent a lot of time in Hong Kong. So, but I understand my background. I've tried to really understand it and understand what's good and what's not so good about it.
Yeah. Okay.
But thanks for correcting me, okay? So finally, is your religion important to you?
Oh, is it ever? My parents are pastors. So
Oh, wow. Fabulous. Thank you.
no,
okay.
no. God is good. I love God, but like, just the things I have to do for it is a lot.
Sure. So you're a Christian because a pastor is a Christian term, not a Islamic term. So you're a Christian. Great. Well, we will touch on these things throughout the semester. And Dami has already brought this up about having religion as one of our big topics, and we will definitely deal with that later in the semester in terms of a guest. We'll look into that. But right now, let me come back to today's class and get you set up for next week and for our first guest who's going to come and sit here in person, okay, which is great. She's going to come from Toronto and sit right here. And so I'm going to bring up a little photograph here. And I'll just go a little fuller screen. There we go. So everybody should be able to see behind me right now a group photograph. And while I'm teeing that up, I'm just going to bring the map in, and then we are going to be good. Okay, now we're set. We'll get somebody on the note shortly, okay? If I have to go do it, I'll do it, but it just means I have to run back and forth. It's a little complicated. So maybe we'll get Connor to go up there today. We'll see, you know, Carrie Ann or Hassan. Hassan, you were with us last week online, right? And this is what I like. Now you're in person. Okay, way to go. Nice to see you, Hassan. Yeah, okay. That's right. Good question. Where is Hassan going to be next week? We don't know. We got to be flexible. Yeah. Okay. Good. Well, you have options. You have options in this class, as you know. So, okay. Behind me is a picture of a group standing essentially right here in the global classroom a few months ago, this year, 2023. And you can see me sort of in the back in my Canada sort of pullover hoodie. But what you see all around me and in this room are a group of young volunteers, young people who have been involved in a cause. And most importantly, it's this person right here, right at the front, not Matthew, not Anna's sister Violetta or the translator, not me, and not the Stop the Bleed volunteers here at Durham College, but this young woman, Anastasia Pioro, or Anna. You're going to meet her next week. She's going to be right here. And essentially, what she's going to talk about is her story of getting more involved in the world. And this is something that I really want to talk about today in terms of my little lecture, is the big idea behind this class next week with her work, and then we're going to have an activity as well today where you're going to begin to brainstorm about the things that you might be able to change around you for the better. I need to get somebody on the notes now because we're going to start putting down some critical. So Hassan, yeah, could you go ahead and, have you done this before? Okay, so let me just come over and show Hassan, and I can do a little stick handle here so everybody can see online. Here's what everybody's going to see. Oh, there's YouTube. It's a little delayed. So you'll see Hassan walk into the picture. There we go. And so Hassan, for this, just go like that. When you change a slide, take this pen and you can write da 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 da. And then, okay, so, and we'll just go Hassan's notes. Okay, there you go. So remember that we do live PowerPoint slides in this class. And that's what's happening over there. So let's bring this back and let's come over here. And I'll just make sure we're good there. Yep, okay. So, okay, first, to make sure we're in line with what I wanted to do today, could you please write down, Hassan, the first thing, overview effect. The overview effect. To think like an astronaut. Nice. Overview effect. EF, and it's E with an E, not an A, because it's a noun. When we have effect as a noun, it's an E. With a verb, it's an A. Okay, so I'll help you. And it's so common, that mistake, Hassan. So I may have to correct you from time to time, but just be aware that I do that for the sake of helping everybody, and everybody makes these mistakes, okay? But that's great. That's nice. So let's just quickly review before we jump into Anastasia. I just want to make sure I get this. To think like an astronaut means that you develop this overview effect where you can think of the whole planet. I'm trying to help you to develop that consciousness, as if you're up in the space station looking back at the planet. And the one thing that astronauts have that you may not always think about is they can manage stress. It's a very complicated job when you are up there in the space station and you look back at the planet and you see the whole thing. It can be quite overwhelming, but it can also be very exciting. You see all of the land masses, you see the water, you know that there are many civilizations down there. And so being able to manage complexity, all of this bigger view, can be overwhelming. But if you learn how to do this, the mental stress, your mind gets bigger and you can live in the 21st century. Is this making sense? Good, okay. So stress management. Could you write that down? Astronauts are psychologically stronger. And so will you be this semester in this class. If you want to lead, and I don't just mean lead an organization, lead an initiative, lead a project. If you want to take charge of your life and lead your life, you must be able to manage the complexity that comes, the stress that comes with the complexity of your life. And you have to do that in spite of all sorts of mental health problems we have today. This can be complicated too in how you navigate that. Do I take the medication? Do I not take the medication? Am I really sick? Am I not sick? Do I go to church? Do I not go to church? How do I deal with this stress? Astronauts are great. They help us to understand how to calm down, take a deep breath, manage the stress. Okay, so that's one important thing. Yes. Yes, absolutely. Probably the most dramatic accident was back in the 1980s. Do any of you remember from history the space shuttle that went up with 8 astronauts, including a teacher from NASA, the Challenger disaster? Ooh, it's a great question. The Challenger, does that ring a bell, Leanda? Could you just write down the Challenger, okay, in the 1980s? Imagine this, live to the world. I think it was 8, okay? It was a big mission. Oh, no, that goes back much further. We're getting into, but in the 1980s, live, there was a blast off at Cape Canaveral within 2 minutes as this ship was launched, and we could see it moving through space. It broke into pieces. Everybody died, including the teacher that was on board. I think her first name was Sally something or other. But there have been other accidents and deaths. It's a very, technically challenging mission to go into space. So you got to be able to deal with even the whole likelihood that you might die too, for sure. Go ahead. Okay. Yeah.
Wait, did everybody was it in space before it exploded?
Yes,
Or
it
not
was
exploded?
in the sky. It had not gone in outside of Earth's atmosphere yet. It was still in the sky, moving towards the outer atmosphere, and then it would be breaking free of gravity at that point.
So they all fell, basically.
They were just blown, like they completely. The body parts were never discovered either.
Oh,
It was total obliteration. Yes, and in the early days of the space mission, when the testing was done, and Chris Hadfield writes about this, where he would go to the testing capsule at the training school in Florida, and he would talk about how he would train himself on the checklists. He would go at night, and he would memorize the checklist because there were so many things that he had to click on once they go into space to manage the space station. And in that particular capsule, where the astronauts had been trained, back in the late 1960s, when the Apollo missions began, the first space missions, there was a fire in one of those capsules, and all of the astronauts were killed in training. Yeah. In training. Yeah. So one of the things that I'm trying to help you with always is that idea of course, the perspective, getting your perspective to open up so you can really start to see the planet as a whole thing, because we live in that age now when it's real. I'm not making this stuff up. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is real. We have a space station. It goes around the planet. We have a high definition camera. It looks at the planet. We have humans that are up in a space station now and see the whole planet. And eventually in time, all human beings in the decades to come are going to learn this new consciousness called the overview effect. But we're in the very early stages of this. The ground floor of how we do this. How do human beings live in this kind of world when we know we see the planet? So stress management is one of those things. Okay, so let's come back. All right, I just wanted to make sure we had. Hassan, make a new slide and let's talk about, we'll call her Anna right now. Her full name, you can just write Anna down, A-N-N-A, the guest next week. Anastasia Pioro. She and her sister, Violetta, started an organization called Global Guardian that we now are involved in, the Global Classroom. And I'd like to tell you what they do by way of telling you a little bit of a story that you will hear more from Anna on next week. Raise a hand, virtually or here, if you have been following, even in a very peripheral way, a war that is happening right now in Ukraine, between Ukraine and Russia. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I hear some, I'm going to come to online. So, Dami, yes. Josh, J, I'll just say Jay for now. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I'll get it eventually. Jay, can I assume, Hassan? What's that? Are you familiar with a war that is taking place in Europe right now between Ukraine and Russia? You've been following it at all? Okay, good. Let's see what's online, because I'm going to assume that you know, but sometimes students have so many things on their minds, they may not be following this. So I want to make sure that everybody is understanding this. But let me just come back to our video conference here. Great. Okay, so Arshpreet, okay, yeah, Ajoy's got his hand up. Okay, let me just, Juanita, have you been following the war in Ukraine? Do you know anything about it? Okay, I'm going to assume that you don't. That you don't.
Is it the Ukraine war?
For now. Okay. Okay. Oh, just shut your speaker, I think. Speaker, I think. Your microphone. Yeah, somebody's reverbing there. Okay, good. Okay, so we've got a little bit of unpacking to do to understand what's about to happen here next week when Anna sits here and she's going to be showing you all sorts of videos and photos and telling you all about a trip that she made with her sister and her mother to the front lines in Ukraine to deliver medical aid that is saving lives there. And it was a transformative experience for her. But it also has something to do with a story that she's going to tell about acting, doing, not just thinking and being. And this is a very important part of leadership, is being able to help you to develop your sense of doing. To be ready for the world today, not just to lead, but to succeed, you need to be thoughtful because it's so complex, but then you have to take those thoughts and you have to put them into action. And there are many things happening around you in the world today, even in your own life, probably that you don't like. I suspect that if I ask Hassan, Maria, what's your name again? Sanjana, Leanda, Carrie Ann, everybody online, tell me about something that you want to fix in your community or even in your family, in anything around you. You would probably give a pretty long list of things that bug you, annoy you, outrage you, make you uncomfortable to the point where you want something to be changed. And what we do today, very often, when we have a sense of injustice, a sense that something's not right, is we shout on social media. We think that, or I fear that, we do this, may not be true, we think that internet experience, social media experience is enough experience. That if you go online and you say something and you engage with somebody else online, you've done your part. You've spoken. You've shouted. That's not enough. To make any real change in the world and in your life, you have to act in real time, in real places, with real people to make a difference. And you have to learn how to care too. And this is all stuff that you may not want to hear, or you feel you already know. But the story of Anastasia Pioro and her sister is kind of illustrative of the arc of two young women, particularly Anna, who've started to act more. They've started to realize that they can make a difference if they do something. And with Anna, it started when Vladimir Putin, the Russian president, invaded Ukraine. And let's orient ourselves to where Ukraine is in the map of the world right now. Let's take a look. And does anyone want to take a microphone as we look at this map and try to direct us with a little bit of geography? Where is Ukraine and where is Russia? Because that's what we're going to be focusing on next week. It's all about the war there, it's about conflict, and it's about a young woman who has decided that she and others can make a difference. And they are. And they are. And this is global leadership. Okay, go ahead. Yeah. Well, you can just tell us, okay, because they can hear. So just sort of, with your words, just direct us, okay, on the map. No pointing. No, you got to use the words. You got to explain it, okay? Hold the karaoke, Jay, as you get it. Okay, so direct everybody online. Where should they look on the map right now?
Yeah, to be honest, I don't know.
I'll help you.
Yeah.
I might even do something fancy here if I can do a million things at once. Watch this, okay? I have to come over here, and I will do. No, you can't get up. I'm gonna do this. Just a second. I'll help you. Watch. Oh, I can zoom. Yeah. Okay. Getting there.
They're like literally right beside each other.
Yeah, okay. So give us a little bit more of a geography lesson, Jay, on where to look right now. Are we in Africa, the continent of Africa? No. Are we in the continent of South America or Asia? We're in Europe.
Yeah.
Okay, we're in the European continent. So when we break down the world a little bit in terms of continents, we have the Americas, we have the Atlantic Ocean, and then we have Afro-Eurasia. It's this huge landmass. Europe, Asia, and Africa all connected. And there's the Atlantic Ocean, and there's the Americas. We have the Eastern Hemisphere, that's Afro-Eurasia. We have the Atlantic Ocean, and we have the Western Hemisphere, the Americas. We have Australia down there. Australia. So just to give you a little continental overview of how an astronaut would look at this. Okay, so we're in Europe. We're in the Afro-Eurasia continent. We're in the European part. Okay, now tell us where to go. Where are we? Where is Ukraine?
It's just down by the bottom.
Okay, so what countries is Ukraine next to?
Romania, Turkey, a lot of countries.
And then what about a big country? What's that big country that it's bordering on?
Russia.
You got it. The biggest country in the world, geographically. Canada is number 2. Russia is geographically the elephant in the world.
I thought it was China.
No. Population, exactly. Carrie Ann's right. Population, we have China number 1, India number 2. Then we start to get to Nigeria. Huge. Number 3. Yeah. United States, I think, is just number 4. So Russia, the last 18 months, invaded Ukraine. And to sort of cut to the chase here, so we don't get into too many details yet. Anastasia Pioro and her sister Violetta are Ukrainian Canadians. Their parents are from Ukraine, but they were born here. And Anna's role to, her road to sort of more active involvement in the world began when, in a very, very small way, she wanted to put up a flag, a Ukrainian flag, in her apartment in downtown Toronto. And her landlord said, no, too provocative. She got angry. She said, well, why can't I put up a flag to celebrate my culture that I come from? So that started to concern her. But then she and her sister began to talk about an idea that they had of how they might be able to bring medical supplies to young Ukrainians who began to organize under their young president, Volodymyr Zelensky, to fight the Russians. And gradually, they began to put together a medical kit with our help at the college, something like tourniquets, gauze, and other items that would be given to soldiers, and they could then treat their wounds quickly, stop the bleeding long enough so they could get into an ambulance and get to a hospital. And this is what they started to do. They formed a foundation with us here called Global Guardian to help people who are in war-torn areas of the world to receive immediate medical treatment so that they can stop or at least control the wound that they have to get them to a place where they can get surgical care. And they've been saving lives doing this. What we're going to do next week when we have her here as a guest is she's going to show us how she began to do this and the challenges that she faced and her sister faced, and how they then organized more than one trip to Ukraine that included not just bringing medical supplies, but also developing a relationship with the Center for Young Orphans or Children who'd lost their parents in war, and these children were brought to a center, and Anna and her team began to bring that center educational supplies and computers to help them maintain their education. In other words, she and her sister began to organize an initiative, a project, to do something about a problem that they felt they needed to act on. So I'm going to stop for a moment and just make sure that everybody understands where we're going at this moment, because in about 5 or 10 minutes, I'm going to put you into little teams. We might even do it just as a class because we don't have that many students in person, and we might connect online. I'll see how that goes in a moment. But I want you all to start thinking of, just begin to think of, is there anything in your life right now, whether it's happening somewhere in the world out there, or something in your own community, or just even on campus, or just even in your own home where you're living, maybe with housemates or roommates, or it's something that's not about you. Now, this is the big bridge now I'm going to help you to build. It's not about you now. It's about other people. And it's not about what you can say. It's about what you can do. And if you think that you can't make a difference, I hope that we will be able to explore that together as to why you think you can't. And I'd like you to to ask Anna that when she's here next week and she shows you all of the things that she and her sister have been doing. Because I think you will find, as I said in the course outline, if you've read it, that with each of the guests that you meet this semester, I'm hoping that you're going to see a little bit of yourself in them. These are not people who should be held up on some sort of pedestal, like they're on Instagram or they're on TikTok, and they're all doing these wonderful things that are way beyond what you can do, and they're all making a difference, and they're all lying. It's all image. It's all fake. We do real things in this class. Real things in the sense that you are going to make a difference with other people, and that's going to be a reward unto itself. You don't need to announce it to the rest of the world. You don't need to get attention for what you're doing. All you need to do is actually make a difference with other people and feel that great sense of humanity that unites us all. But it's a hard thing to do. And I will include myself among this. And I will quote once again a great comic, because I love to talk about comics, Chris Rock. You may have seen him, who said after he was slapped by Will Smith at the Academy Awards a couple of years ago, "Man, are we ever addicted to attention today?" Everybody wants to be recognized and seen, and we can do that easily on social media and Instagram. We just have to say something, do something outrageous, and we'll get attention. So what? Does that really make any kind of difference to anything? So that's what I want you to think of is, what is the thing in your life right now that is driving you crazy? In the same way that for Anna, it was driving her crazy that she couldn't put a flag up to celebrate her own culture, her own background. And that led her now on a road towards greater activism to make a difference and to help. But this sense of you making a difference, it doesn't have to be somewhere elsewhere in the world. You don't have to travel somewhere else. Maybe you want, it's just, where do you want to make a difference? And now let's talk about how you can. This is leadership. Okay, so does anyone have any questions about what we're talking about in terms of the kind of big idea beneath the guest, that you're going to meet someone really interesting and just like you as well, but underneath this is a story, and that story is the most important thing. Okay, let me check online, okay? And then we're going to get into a little group here and see. Okay, anybody online have something to say before we go into? Perfect, we've got enough for a good group online. Ajoy, Nick, Paula, Arshpreet, Charan, and Juanita. You will actually, I'll keep you as one group because I don't know how to do groups yet in Toria, but I can do that later. So Ajoy, Nick, Paula, Arshpreet, Charan, and Juanita, here are your marching orders. And can you write this, Hassan, in big letters? Where can you make a difference? Where can you make a difference? And I'd like you to have a conversation about this. Just like we had last week with teams, this time, I'd like you to answer the question, each of you, share your ideas with one another. Paula, Nick, Ajoy, Charan, and Juanita, where would you like to make a difference in your life or in the world? And we'll put those up on the board in about 15 or 20 minutes. We'll have a list of all the different things that you'd like to be doing. And then when you meet Anna next week, she's going to talk about how you can do it. Not so much about the what and the why. I'm talking about that now, but you can ask her anything. It's more about, how do you do it? How do you face these challenges? what kinds of qualities and skills do you need to go from this sense of outrage, this sense of injustice, this sense of this is not the world I want to be living in, to, oh, now I'm doing something about it, and it's about others. It's not about me. And this is such a hard thing to do, is separate yourself. I'm only just beginning to do that in my life. At 60, shows you how narcissistic, self-absorbed we've become in our culture, and how difficult it is to just return to something very fundamental, which is how can we assist others without any sense of something coming in return. Okay, so you get going online for that. And for here, why don't we do this in a little bit of a smaller group? Maria, would you be able to come and go into team here? So Hassan, why don't you come and sit here, and we'll have a group of Maria, Hassan, Leanda, and Dami, okay? You guys are a group. And then Jay, come over here, and it's a group here. And I'd like each group to think about and share with each other, what can I do specifically? What is it that is really bothering me about the world where I can make a difference that's going to make a difference to others, not just me, okay? And let's get some good examples. Great, okay, so, and I might put a video on in a moment just because I need to test something out. Does anybody have any questions? You good? Yeah, Ajoy, please, go ahead.
Can I talk with you now a little bit?
Sure, do you want to, you're in the class right now. Go ahead.
Yeah. Just I was curious that as Anastasia is coming next week with her organization called the Global Guardian, as we know before. So,
Yes.
Well, as far I hear that she's doing her work with the full phrase, okay, the activities and helping and everything. So I was thinking that if she come, definitely she will share her ideas,
Yes.
experiences, and all the things which happen in concern with the Ukraine and the rest of the world. Beside, I was thinking, if she come and show her uh, website and other things to the our audience
Yes.
in the offline and online. Beside, it would be nice that if she also announced that as the Global Guardian, as an organization, as a one of the now is a global platform, if she
Yes.
can open it for the students from the bachelor or masters, however any level, where students can do the some engagements, okay, in terms of the human rights, in terms of the internship, in terms of the some voluntary, okay,
Yes.
as the other organization works, like I said, the children and some activists and so many. So it would be nice, not only just the presentation, beside also some engagements.
Oh, for sure. Well, it will be mostly an engagement and an interaction where she will present
Yes.
her story, but it's, as you know, in any global class that we have, it's always going to be interactive. So it will not be a long presentation, Ajoy. It will be lots of opportunities for students to interact. But if there are any ideas that you have, please put them in the live chat, and we can address those in about 15 minutes when we take this activity up.
Okay.
Okay, great, thanks. Okay, so I want to give you a time to think about where you can make this difference in your own lives. So go ahead, okay? And I'll check back in with you in 10, 15 minutes. Let me just see what we have.
Ну, з кров'ю.
Standing over the graves of these children, you can't help but ask yourself, how did it happen that the Russian military shot them? Who is responsible for this? Why were these children killed? We also couldn't help but ask ourselves these questions. These three stories are about the gaping holes left in the lives of Ukrainian families by Russian bullets.
This is war, but there isn't a war in your life right now, is there?
And about the difficult attempts to
Any
fill
kind of
these
war?
holes with facts,
Anything in your community, even?
investigations,
Conflict you
accountability,
want to change?
and
Where
justice.
people are suffering, or it really is something that concerns you. You haven't done anything about it. Why? Aren't you doing it? Ah, yeah. Yeah. Glad. Remember that word power, okay? Because I want to help you to realize that you have more power than you think.
Before Russia's full-scale invasion, the Madiks lived
something
a
in
quiet
your
life in a
community
small village near
Life that you
Bucha.
want to change.
Valery and Ola had two
Other things,
children,
exactly.
a daughter Anya
one
and son
thing
Vlad.
that you would want.
Their son
Make it
only lived to
for
be
others.
12 years old.
Він був дуже
Why are
веселий,
you
дуже
not doing anything
кмітливий,
about it?
дуже такий спішив жити. Я так зараз так все хотів встигнути, все швидко, все. Він
Exactly.
хотів стати
Same thing. She says,
успішним.
because I don't have the power.
Багатшим. Дуже рано. Він хотів, він сказав,
It
от
comes up a lot
16,
because I
десь
don't
я
have
вже
the
з'їду від
power.
батьків і буду собі нормально
Okay, Hassan,
жити
I
на
gotta
свої
write this.
гроші, на свою
Keep going.
зарплату,
No, no,
він
you
собі
stay there. I'm going to
заробляв.
write this.
Він так і
Keep going,
говорив, він
everybody. Okay, we'll take this up in a moment.
програмуванням
Finally, we got.
займатися. Він любив саме більше ігри комп'ютерні, з чого я весь час, ну, я забороняла, я по часу це встановлювала, то в нас трошки були по поводу цього, він, мама, я там буду вигравати, подивися, як я класно граю, і весь час умів викрутити, знаєте, я там починаю своє говорити, а він своє. Тіктоки я його заставляла знімати, тому що, ну, мені там, наприклад, побачила якусь ідею в Тіктоці, і там треба ще якась одна людина. І він, якби перший, хто попадався під руку, тому що він прям, ну, в кімнаті напроти. І я з ним завжди виходила, там, така, Владик, давай, ну, одягни ці очки, нам надо це.
Владик.
The memories of Vlad are preserved in these short videos. On his tombstone, an image of the boy shows him doing his favorite
Can you
thing,
hear me?
playing video games.
I think they're You may have muted.
Katya Vinarska from
Speaker
Kharkiv
two.
was even younger than
Okay.
Vlad when she was killed by Russian
Juanita,
soldiers.
can you hear me? It's low
She was
on-
10 years
Oh,
old.
okay, good. You can.
Her parents, Oksana and Artem,
Paula,
had to fight hard
do
for
you see
even
a
those
video
10
right now?
years with their only
about
child.
Young people in Ukraine? Yeah. Can you hear it as well?
Історія у нас вийшла така, вона у нас була довгождана,
Okay,
вона в
good.
мене була
You're watching
недоношена,
exactly what we're watching. I'm just
родилась
testing your technique.
860 грам,
All right. Good.
35
That's just a little
сантиметрів.
reference
І
for
її
all of
одразу
you.
забрали в
terms
реанімацію
of the war
під
in Ukraine right now.
апарат
But
іскусственного дихання
It's no
ІВЛ.
more than that. Just a little
От,
reference.
і
for your
вона
discussion.
місяць була на апараті.
A
The audio
ventilator
is too
damaged
loud.
Katya's lungs. She spent a
adjust
month
it
in an
yourself.
intensive care unit where she contracted pneumonia. She
I
spent the
believe,
first years
yes?
of her life on medication
Can you,
and,
Paula, if it's
despite
too
doctors'
loud or you
predictions,
would like it
eventually
louder,
grew up
are
to
you
be
able to
cheerful
adjust it
and
yourself?
active, with a lot of friends and plans for the future.
Мама, я буду блогершей. Я говорю, конечно. Говорю, ты, говорю, до 10 лет. Говорю, сколько профессий уже
For
поменяла?
another 5 minutes,
То
and
она
then we're going
говорила,
to
я
start the
хочу
take-up.
быть, дрессировать дельфинов. Сначала тоже говорит, я буду
I'm-
доктором, как
Where's
ты.
the audio here?
Вот.
There we go.
Her parents often sent little Katya to the village of Novi
Good.
to visit her
I'm just playing with
grandparents.
the audio right
There
now.
was more nature there and less internet.
Давай там пополю, травку, посадить что-то. Вот это она... Ну, то есть
And let's-
ребенок был
We already
всесторонне
have a
развит.
great
Не
note
только
on the
там
board. I'm going to
гаджеты.
move the camera over for the
Это
online student.
очень сильно любила, но в деревне
This
уже
has already come up.
гаджеты отходили, потому что там не было
Because I
интернета,
don't
и
have
это
the
было
power.
очень круто,
Oh,
что там
I
нету
did not see
интернета.
that. Right.
In the village, the center of Katya's life was the store where her grandmother worked as a salesperson.
Сідана з усіма приїжджала, ну, не сказати, що вона
How's
городська
your
дівчинка була.
energy, Hassan? You ready?
З
to make
усіма
some good
людьми
notes? Because we're going to be
общалася,
in 3 minutes, okay? There're going to be a
всім
lot of
все
notes coming in a
розказувала.
moment, okay? So just get ready.
Подружка в неї тут була. Це вони тут в неї співали, танцювали, знімали одна одну.
Here, in the village of Novi Burluk, Katya was killed by the Russian military. This is where she is buried. Mihailo Ustinivsky went to school in a village in the Kherson region, on the banks of the Dnipro River. His parents and grandparents, Nina and Mihailo Ustinivsky, lived in the same village. Their memories of their grandson are full of life.
Він любив покушати, сюди до бабушки приходив з школи. От, і кушати. От, помогти, це в його в першу чергу. Покопати нам. От, це від його це не отніме.
Добра дитина була, я ж кажу.
От, жіночка старенька, інвалід, іде по вулиці, а він іде з школи. Несе сумку, тому що він так воспитаний.
Mihailo's grandparents have now left their home because of constant Russian shelling and have temporarily moved to another village. His best friend Anatoly is now abroad. He shares his memories of Mihailo with us online.
Добрий, характер у нього був добрий, спокійний, не нервничав. Він мене приглашав додому до себе, і ми гуляли в телефонах. І так кожен день був. Телефони,
Okay, 2 minutes, and we're going
буває
to
там
start.
допомагав йому, про ігри общалися. Таке що.
Mihailo and Anatoly were together when Russian soldiers shot at them. Anatoly was not hit. Mihailo was shot dead. He is buried
Okay. Great. Okay. Is it? And Global Guardian. There we go. Okay, good. All right, so we're going to start the take up and yeah, good. Hassan, go over to the board, and I would like to just before Hassan switches the slide, I would like all of you to see this note that I put up there. And it says, because I don't have the power. So Arshpreet, Juanita, Paula, Nick, and all the students watching the recordings, this is a quote from a student that I spoke to while the activity was on, who said that the reason that they are not involved in making a difference is because they don't have the power. But that student was the second student who raised the issue of power when I asked about this. So I'd like that to just sit there for a moment, because this is a very important insight that we're getting live on our slide, and we're going to start to explore now with all of you the ideas that you have of where you can make a difference. But I'm curious to see if other students are going to say the same thing. Well, I'm not going to do anything, or I can't do anything because I really don't have the power to make a difference. And we'll see what that means. Okay, so great, Hassan, do you want to switch and get ready to make a list? Okay, so this is the good part of the class. We always will do this in our prep classes, and we might even do it in the guest classes, is that we will have a kind of list of important knowledge that we've created together at the end. It would be like, these are the critical PowerPoint slides that you need to know. And the whole class is building towards this. This is the point where together we create what we really need to learn, which is we need to know right now among all the students, because you're the ones who matter the most, where in your life would you like to make a difference? And then we'll explore, if you are, what are you doing? And if you're not, why aren't you? And for all the questions you might have on how you carry out that action of doing and the challenges that you may face, you can bring all of that next week for Anna, because rest assured, she will have dealt with the same things too. But she displayed grit, perseverance. Remember, imagination, courage, perseverance, those three wonderful qualities we talked about. Imagination, courage, well, the grit, the perseverance to just keep going. Okay, so let's start. And why don't we go online for a moment and see if we can do this all live on microphone, so we don't have to use the live chat, but we can keep this in real time completely. Nick, are you able to jump on your microphone? Nick. Hello, Nick. Planet N. Good. He's there. And hold on. Go ahead, Nick. Tell us what you have resolved.
Could you repeat that again?
In your discussion with the others, what did you resolve in terms of the things that you could be doing or the group could be doing in your own life that could make a difference? Where do you want to make a difference?
A difference in what, sorry?
Okay. Well, here's the question. When you look at your life right now, around you, in your life and your community, what is the one thing that really bugs you, that you think is wrong?
The things I can't control.
Oh, okay. We're going to talk about the things you can control. But first, it's interesting. Nick, could you write down, Nick, the things I cannot control? Nice. Good, Nick. So stay on your microphone for a moment, and then we're going to come over here in person. Nick, what are maybe 2 examples of things that you wish you could control, but you seem not to be able to? 2 things.
I'd say it's not a big deal in my life, but my living situation, I'd say.
Okay, living situation. Living situation. Good. Okay. What's the second thing?
Let's see.
A big deal. What's the biggest deal that you cannot control? You feel it just sometimes it keeps you up at night, or maybe it, just occupies your thoughts a little too much. It's a big deal. Do you feel willing to share that with us, or would you rather not?
No, I think I can. I'd say the fact that trying to find a way to accumulate a lot of wealth and at any point in my life.
Good. Okay, Nick, big deal, and then dash. Make money. Right, Nick? Make
Yes.
money? Okay. And something's in your way from making money. That's about you. That's okay. I want to talk about the things that could help others. So we'll leave that for now. Okay, Nick, we're going to move on. Living situation and big deal, making money. It may be that the problem that Nick is having around money is the same problem that Dami is having, and Carrie Ann is having, and Lon is having, and Hassan is having. And in fact, a lot of people are having around making more money. And it may be that a lot of people are making too much money, and more people are not making enough. And maybe we need to fight to get that balance right. But let's move on, okay? Thanks, Nick. Paula, same.
Yes.
What's the big deal? What's the big deal in your life that you would like to change?
For me personally, I suffer with a lot of invisible illnesses that get in the way of my everyday life, and I've been very made aware in this community of how people struggle and how the world isn't designed for people with invisible disabilities, and accommodations just aren't fully there sometimes.
Okay.
So that's something that I actively work on advocating for daily, but I feel like it's still something that needs a lot of work in that area.
Okay, so you're already advocating. So you've already crossed that sort of divide into the world of acting and not just talking.
Yes, I have, yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so why don't we put down for Paula, put Paula. She has crossed the divide. Good. Paula has crossed the divide. Paula has crossed the divide. And finally, and then we're going to come in person, Arshpreet, what's the big deal that you would like to change? Cross the divide. The divide. Arshpreet? Okay, there we go. Arshpreet, where would you like to make a difference? Okay. I can't use a microphone. Fair enough. Go in the live chat and we'll come in person now. All right, here we go. So we have microphones. Let's do this. Dami, let's start.
This question is for Paula. What is an invisible illness? It's my first
Okay, good question. Go ahead, Paula, please.
So an invisible illness would be categorized as a chronic illness. If you're not familiar with what that is, it's basically a long-term illness that will last longer than 6 months, has no cure, lasts usually a person's whole life, and has very debilitating symptoms that limit their ability to do things or their day-to-day life, especially. I guess some examples of this would be like Selena Gomez. Some of you probably know this, but she has lupus, which is an autoimmune disease. A lot of invisible illnesses happen because of autoimmune diseases. So it's basically just like illnesses going on the inside. A person might look fine and well on the outside, but on the inside they truly have debilitating symptoms and probably pretty severe diagnoses.
So, am I hearing depression?
Go on. Yeah, another question.
That's a great question, actually. That's not one that falls under that category. That's more like in the mental health kind of things. It is debilitating in its own way, but it's not chronic in the sense that it's like, I don't know. Well, you can have chronic depression.
Life-threatening?
Now you're making me think. Yeah, I don't know, because you can have
Because depression would be way more life-threatening than something that you have no idea what it is, but it just comes on you for what, 6 months? Did you say 6 months to your whole life? I mean,
Yeah. Well, it's
that's
not
just
totally
depression and your thoughts, honestly. But
Visible illness.
okay.
Yeah. I'm
Way
not
to
sure.
go. Keep this. If we get to a point of interaction like this is the best. We're interacting around the critical material in today's topic. And so for me, this is gold. So
Lon,
if
what
there's
do you
anything
think?
else that you would like to say, go ahead, Paul, and then we're going to end. All right, go ahead.
I was gonna ask you, what do you think on that? What that person just asked? Do you think that depression like falls under the chronic illness umbrella, or?
I'm gonna let Jay answer. Go ahead, Jay.
No offense from what you've said. I think that's what it is. I think that's what you've already explained. I think you basically just said the definition of what depression actually is, basically. Like your whole example was depression. That was basically what it is, or stress. That's basically the definition that you gave us. That's basically it. That's from what I heard anyway. Maybe I wasn't listening correctly.
You're listening.
But
absolutely,
what I heard. That's
Yeah, no, you're so right. Yeah, you guys are right. I just searched it up, and it says depression is also a chronic illness.
Yeah. Wow. Does anybody want to say something else before we start to conclude? Because I love to end on a high note. Well, this is a low note, but it's a high note. Because even if we talk about depression and dark things, in my estimation, the more real stuff we can talk about, the more inspiring things are, because we're not afraid to talk about anything. So in that sense, in this little circle that we have with all the online viewers and people watching, we are now interacting and talking about things that really matter to you, but we're bringing in a whole layer of education. I'm helping to do that. And we have a guest next week who's going to help you see how you can get beyond these things and lead through difficult times. Depression, dark things, problems, they're just challenges to overcome. That's it. Problems to solve. And so then the question is, how do you do that? How do you solve these problems? How do you lead your way through this? Well, that's what Anna is going to help us to see, that you can look at your life and say, look at all these mountains and hills and difficulties and problems, and it's just overwhelming. But then you can say, I want to do something about it. And I want to help others at the same time. Now I'm going to figure out how to do that. And that's what Anna is going to help us to see. Overcoming, doing. Leanda? Good. You want to, and we're going to finish in a couple of minutes. We're running a little late, but let's see this through, this little bit of conversation.
I was contemplating on what I was going to say because I don't know if it makes sense.
I'm sure it will make sense, Leanda, once you hear yourself say it.
Yeah.
Let's hear.
So you were talking about problem solving, and we're in a global class now. I was just thinking, like, you cannot fully solve the problem because you can't really have a utopia without a dystopia. You know, there's always going to be something that's going to cause that. Like, even though you fix this, something's going to come out of it.
Of course.
Even if it's good or bad.
Okay. But things can get better, even though things are still, there are problems. We can make improvements. You know, we can fix a window or a door, but the house still has a problem with the sink.
Yeah, there'll always be a minor issue.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah. Help me. What's she saying? What is she saying? But maybe you can solve more than you think. Maybe the problem is you think, we don't have the power. Maybe the problem is that we think we're small and there's too many people who will make it hard for us. Yes, go ahead.
Go first.
Go, Leanda, go.
Well, what you're saying is true, but like, yeah, we all have power, but like, there's levels to power, and like, depending on the level of power you have, like, I don't know how to word it, but depending on the level of power you have, you can make like change, you know? Because like, yeah, you have power, and like with the little power that you have, the most you can maybe do is advocate around you, like, you know, go around your community and talk. But like for a politician or somebody who have like greater power, they can make more of a difference than commoners such as ourselves.
Well, let's.
They can, but like my opinion about power is like she said. Was it you, sorry, that's made that comment about no power?
Yes, it was.
Oh,
she both did.
So it's
I
like
don't
if,
have the
if
power.
you have a friend and you have a friend, you guys can both. You can advocate your friend. You know your friend. You know your friend. You can advocate your friend. You can advocate your friend or whatever. And your friend will tell your friend. Your friend will tell your friend, and that's already power right there. And that'll just build on that. So I mean, like power, because all those guys got to where they were from something. Like what I want to do in my life, I hope will be very great and very big. But like I have to start from somewhere, you know. So it's like not everybody is like where you think they are, if that makes any sense.
Sure.
So it's like all
Yeah.
those politicians
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah.
Most of them can't actually do anything. They actually don't have the power to do anything. They just have the name or, you know, like the position. You know what I'm saying? So it's like power is really, you got to be in the field to kind of get what you want to get,
Well,
if that makes
Why
sense.
don't we go ahead, Leanda? Yeah, good.
Just wanted
Dami wants to
just
say.
wanted to, like quick summary. What I would say is that power is attainable. So there might be different levels of power, but you could, if you have the grit, like you said before, like you could achieve that power. You could gain that power that you're looking for, or that you think you don't have. It's not something that you just wake up and I have power. Now you gotta work for it.
Yeah. Why don't we put in the notes? This comes from Dami, a question. So this is what you said processed through my mind into a question. Do I have the grit? Do I have the grit? The grit. Just put that down. Do I have the grit? I hope that you ask that question of yourselves between this class and next week when you think about making a difference. Do I have the grit?
Start that process though.
Do I have the grit? What is grit? G-R-I-T. What is the grit? How would you define grit, Gary?
Yeah, drive.
Drive. Yeah, drive.
I have a boss. My boss back in a long time ago. He grew up in Haiti, and he told me like the thing that made him successful, the thing that makes him the way he is right now is his hatred for poverty. That he has that grit that he wants to. He can't live in poverty again, so he has to keep going. Like no matter what's going on, you just have to keep going, just drive. Yeah.
So he is definitely not living in poverty himself. And he is probably making sure that people around him are not. He's trying because he hates the injustice of it so much. But Dami, he could have just not done anything and just hate and hate and hate, but not act. But he acted. Yeah, a lot of people hate and hate and hate and hate, and they don't do.
That was for a self thing first, though. So that doesn't really count because you said around you, right?
That's right. That's right. But it's okay if you.
Of course, that's still good. That's still blessed. God bless him. But I'm saying to start off. Actually, I was going to ask you. So, how would you activate that power? You know,
it's easy, bro. You just gotta work on yourself.
I want to hear you say it.
Question from Jay. Just put Jay. Question: how do you activate that power? And we're going to end there because that is exactly where we will begin next week with Anna. She activated the power after that flag and she started to make a difference. Maria?
If you have a goal and you really want something, you have to work harder for it.
That's right. Really hard. And you got to be ready. Okay, way to go. We're at the top. We're ending at the high note. Great question. How do I activate the power? We're going to pick that up next week with Anna right here. She activated it. And as a result, she's saving lives in Ukraine right now. Way to go, everybody. Okay, so we're late, but we don't take a break, so we always end early. We're done. Thank
Thanks,
you,
Juan.
Arshpreet. Good comment, Arshpreet. I'll save the live chat. Paula and Nick. See you
Thank
next
you.
week.
See ya.
Everything is on DC Connect in the folder. Some things to review for next week. Yes, Hassan. Hold on. I'll to give you some privacy. Let me shut my microphone. Okay. Hold on.